Hello everyone and welcome to Celebrate Learning, when we look at the information from this week's class. Are you ready? Well, essential communication. Yes, this means these are things that you need to know, and in class it's about practicing so that you can always improve. To begin with, we had a to-do list. This is really good for you if you're using one at home, because learning English is about practicing every day and immersing yourself in the English with listening to English and practicing English. So let's have a look a little closer at what we did in class this week. Well, we checked the calendar, looked at what do you know about the UK, and you took home a reading assessment. So don't forget, over the holiday, completing that reading assessment. When we looked at the calendar, we used the City of Doncaster calendar because this is the calendar that shows you when the schools are closed, when the bank holidays are, and when the school holidays are. And for adult classes, this also means when the school holidays are closed. So make sure you keep your copy of the academic year. And remember, the academic year doesn't go from January to December. That's the year for everything else. The academic year goes from September until the following August, and then the next academic year goes from September all the way across to the following August. So practice remembering that. Very important if you have children, very important if you're attending adult classes. What did you know about the UK? We did a quiz about the UK and some of you had to guess. That means you didn't know the answer and you just had to think about what possibly could be the answer. Some of you knew, and so we used the word know. Do you know the answer? And sometimes you have to predict, where you're thinking about what the possibility for the future might be. So what do you know about the UK? In the quiz that we did, you only had to guess or choose between two answers. I wonder how many you got correct. To begin with, some of the answers were as follows. The Cardiff is capital of Wales. Remember, we talked about don't use the word the when writing about a named city or town. So we say Cardiff is. We don't say the Cardiff is. And remember, we use the word the when we're looking at the word capital, not the actual capital. When we're looking at the word capital, we say the capital of Wales. Cardiff is the capital of Wales. London is the capital of England. So try to practice with that sound when you're saying it. Cardiff is, London is, Doncaster is. And if you're looking at the capital, Cardiff is the capital of Wales. London is the capital of England. And let's see if you can practice that sound of the English as you work. We also looked at using the word the when talking about a collection or a particular area of the country. Sometimes we use the word specific. So the United Kingdom, did you hear the word the there? Yes, the United Kingdom because it's a collection of countries. It's not just one country. And you will always hear people talk about the north by saying the north of England. That changes only when you're changing information in the sentence. So you might say Doncaster is north of when you're comparing. But if you were talking about Doncaster being in the north of England, you would say Doncaster is in the north of England. And also remember that we don't use the word the when we're talking about a county in England. We don't say the South Yorkshire, we say South Yorkshire. So we don't use the word the with a town unless it's part of the name. We say Doncaster. We don't use the word the when it's looking at a country. If it's not part of the name, we say Wales, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland. We don't say the Northern Ireland, the England, the Wales. So let's try that again. Wales, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and when you're talking about the collection of countries, the United Kingdom. Now, some of you need to practice how we say the word Wales. So it's W-A-L-S, Wales. So please do practice that so that we can say the word Wales correctly for that country. Let's have a look then at the phrases you might use. The Tower of London is. Dover Castle is. Birmingham is. The London Marathon is. And you can actually learn that as a phrase because we tend to make the same sound as we speak when we're using that section of the sentence. The Tower of London is. Dover Castle is. Birmingham is. The London Marathon is. Doncaster is. Mexborough is. See, that didn't work there, did it? So I'm going to have to say Mexborough is in Doncaster. So you do sometimes have to change that rhythm, but it's just a way of learning the English phrases so that you use them correctly when you're speaking. So, Doncaster is in South Yorkshire. Yes? Good. And we also looked at creating sentences by thinking about the answers to the questions about the UK and thinking about the phrases from the question. So, the question about what the Tower of London is, the sentence you need is called a statement sentence, and this sentence is the Tower of London is an old prison. And what about the London Marathon? The London Marathon is a running race. And what about the population of the UK? Yes, it doesn't stay static. That means the same. It changes. But on the work we were doing, it suggested that the population of the UK is 60 million. However, look at when that piece was actually produced, and then you might have to Google how big is the population now. And this answer is the population of the UK is 66.97 million. But I want you to remember the English section with the sound. The Tower of London is. The London Marathon is. The population of the UK is. So let's get that word correct, is. And creating sentences from phrases, Birmingham is Yes, remember from earlier in the section, we don't say the Birmingham is. We say Birmingham is, in the same way we would say Doncaster is. Birmingham is the second biggest city in the UK. And look at when we do need to use the word the Prime Minister. Yes, the Prime Minister lives in Downing Street. So remember, as part of our work, we identified that you needed to learn the use for regular verbs when we use an S and when we don't use an S. So that's something to learn. I live, we live, they live, you live, he lives, she lives. And part of the work was thinking about, if you have a name here, you just think in your head, is it he or she, or we or I or they? Yes? So, Jane lives. Jane is a she. She lives. Jane lives. And that's why we say Jane lives or Harry lives, because the name has the pronoun he or she. So the key words for the spelling today, not everyone had to do these, but you had to go anyway. And well done for the person in class who was giving this spelling test blind. So I use the word blind in a spelling test when I haven't given you the words to practice. So what words were you given? Let's have a closer look. Population, famous, approximately, mountain, and yes, there's that word again, Wales. And for pronunciation, the way we say it, please practice approximately, because that's a really hard word. Let's try it again. Approximately. And for you, the word Wales. So can we hear the W, A, S? And you might have to practice that sound where you have your tongue up the top of your mouth, and you make the sound from here. Wales. Do have a look at the next step conversation. So you can open your phone, use your camera and scan that QR code to have a look at the work you can do at home during the half term. And also, if you really need to practice your tenses, again, open your camera, scan the code and have a look at the work on there. And that's the end of today's Celebrate Learning for your class, and I'll see you next class. Bye now.